apologies, we weren't expecting the extended version of the Ukraine national anthem, but the rain is absolutely belting down. I sat in a stadium in Basel at Euro 2008 when Switzerland played Turkey and thought I'd never seen rain like it as a football match. Jan Mulby, you cannot believe the conditions inside here. You stand up and it is literally like being in a car wash. You get absolutely pelted by the rain. The sky is completely black. It's gone from blue skies to black skies in about 20 minutes, and the conditions inside here are startling, aren't they?
Yeah, we were kind of pre-warned, weren't we? They were expecting a storm of some magnitude, and that's exactly what we're getting. Let's hope it doesn't get any worse.
Do you imagine the skies in Independence Day? I'm sure you've seen the film. That's what they look like above the Donbass arena. But the two teams are down there with the rain falling, posing for the obligatory picture before the game kicks off. It's still stiflingly humid inside this stadium. I'm hoping it's going to clear it a little bit. We were being attacked by midges for about an hour when we got here, but they've got off to hide somewhere to stay out of the rain, which is absolutely soaking the field here inside the stadium. The black and orange seats that go all around this three-tier bowl, this circular design stadium, are now completely full. The vast majority of people wearing a yellow Ukraine shirt. The nation believes now, following that 2-1 win in the first match against the Swedes, when Shevchenko rolled back the years, that France, as Jan mentioned a few moments ago, they're unbeaten in 22 matches. You've got to go back to September 2010 to find the last time they lost in a qualifier against Belarus. But they've not got a very good record in major championships. They're winless in their last 8 games. And you've got to go back to the semi-finals of the World Cup in Germany when they beat Portugal 2-0 to find the last time they won a game in a tournament. And they've never won a match in the European Championships without Zidane or Platini in the starting 11. They make 2 changes, France, tonight. Out go Evra and Malouda, in come Clichy and Menez. So this is the French team. Hugo Lloris is the goalkeeper. The defenders, Mathieu Debuchy, so impressive against England, Philippe Mexes, Adil Rami and Gael Clichy, then Alou Diarra, Johan Cabaye and Samir Nasri, with Jeremy Menez and Frank Ribéry either side of Karim Benzema. The Ukraine are unchanged. Piatov is the goalkeeper, Husev, Kacherini, Mikulik and Selin the defenders, then Timoshuk and Nazarenko doing the holding job in midfield, which allows Voronin to support Shevchenko, with Konoplyanka and Yarmolenko wide. With the rain tumbling down, we're underway in Donetsk. France in all blue, navy blue, playing from right to left in the first half. Ukraine in all yellow. A victory for Ukraine in this match, and they are through to the quarter-finals of the European Championships. First ball played forward down the left-hand side by Mexes, and it's allowed to roll out of play by Mikulik on the left-hand side for a goal kick, with the pressure coming from behind him from Manchester City's Samir Nasri. I just wonder, Jan, whether this rain, which is so heavy, is actually going to affect the players at all. They're passing around at the moment in the commentary position, big polythene sheets to put over the equipment so we don't get taken off air.
Yeah, there's no way you can play a game of football in rain like this without it affecting it. It's just a question of how long does it continue, you know. Well, at the moment, I think it's actually doing the pitch a little bit of a favour.
Yeah.
You know?
Looking at the sky, it looks like it could be here for a while. It won't affect the game, of course, until the pitch becomes heavy with water, but it's already taking on quite a lot of liquid in the early stages. France have got the ball on the halfway line with Diarra, and then out towards the far side to the defender Debuchy, and then forward towards Ribéry and out towards the far side again, and France are building patiently down the right hand side, and they've won themselves a throw-in just about level with the Ukraine penalty area on the right. The rain is so heavy it looks like a mist over there. It's actually hard to spot the players through the precipitation over there on the far side of the field. Kacherini's got some defending to do by the corner flag, under pressure from Ribéry, clears it away. It's played back forward towards the edge of the Ukraine penalty area, and then just belted away to safety all the way through to Hugo Lloris, who's the captain of France, just outside the penalty area. The skipper in all red, who gets a dangerous ball back to him from Mexes, which Voronin was able to chase in, and Lloris, the Lyon goalkeeper, was able to clear. But Ukraine are snapping around the ball and they're making their tackles, and they're closing France down, Jan Mulby, in the manner they did against Sweden.
Yeah, and I think the one thing you don't want to be doing today is give up anything. You know, shots from distance or back passes, chase everything down. But there's a lot of energy in this stadium, and that's come from the Ukraine's winning the first game, from the players and from the fans.
Clichy starting a competitive international for the first time since 2010. He's got a new haircut for the tournament, totally shaved at the sides. The man who won the Premier League with Manchester City. And it's going to be a throw which Ukraine have taken. Yarmolenko took it, but it's actually going to be a French ball. Bjorn Kuipers, the referee from Holland, just mentions to Yarmolenko that it's not actually his throw. And Oleg Blokin, the Ukraine coach is to the edge of his technical area for the first time to offer one or two words of advice. Don't forget England to come against Sweden on 5 Live, 7:45 kickoff your time. You'll hear from Roy Hodgson as part of the build-up with Chris Waddle and Graham Taylor, and of course Mike Ingham and Alan Green as well. And we'll rejoin Mark Pugac in Kiev at half-time for more build-up on that game. And don't forget it's live on BBC television as well. If you'd like to press the red button, listen to the 5 Live commentary and watch the game as well. 3 minutes gone here with thunder clapping all around the arena. The rain is as heavy as it's been. Kacharini has gone over just inside the Ukraine half of the field, and it's a free kick to the co-host, and the ball is on the halfway line with Yarmolenko, who's caught by Bayern Munich's Ribéry. We're still waiting really for Frank Ribéry to stamp his authority on a major tournament. For all of the individual brilliance you see in the Bundesliga, he's a bit part player in major championships in the main for France, isn't he, Jan? Yeah,
he is, but he is a good player on his day. And I think today they might play at a higher tempo, France, which should suit Ribéry. Menez
has given the ball away, but so has Voronin, giving it back to the player just inside the Ukraine half, and it's played through then for the on-running Nasri through the middle. And coming to the edge of his penalty area to clear is Piatov, the goalkeeper, already has his hair plastered to his head. We've got lightning cracking all around the arena, flashes of lightning all over the place. The rain is swirling around, and the thunder is extremely noisy. We've had a severe storm here at the moment in Donetsk. 0-0 with 4 minutes gone. There's more thunder and more lightning. It's amazing. And the referee, I think,
that's it,
has stopped the game.
He's taken them off.
Bjorn Kuipers has indicated for the players to leave the field. We've played 4 minutes of the match, 4 minutes and 20 seconds, and the sign has just come up on the screen here in the commentary position that the match is suspended. Further information to follow. Jan Molby, you were talking to someone earlier who'd been speaking to a UEFA representative, and that we were told that if the electrical storm came as heavy with the rain and the thunder and the lightning as it was expected, then the game wouldn't go ahead. And we've started the match, but now we've got the abandonment at the moment, the postponement for now, the temporary postponement at the moment. And the lightning that has just been very visible above the stadium.
The crowd seem to have come back out. The players are still in the tunnel, are they, Darren?
Well, we've got 4 French players out there, but they're all substitutes, and they're kicking the ball around on the field just outside the penalty area away to our right-hand side. And to be honest, it looks fine. I mean, the ball's moving around okay, but the rain's just about gone. But we've not got any of the starting 11s of the respective teams out on the field as yet. The last time I saw on the monitor, and bearing in mind we're seeing things very similar to you, back in the UK, there were quite a few of the Ukrainian players massing in the tunnel, waiting to come back out. As you say, the fans are now back in their seats. They've kept their spirits up in the main. They've disappeared under cover for quite a while to avoid the really heavy rain that was certainly hitting the far side of the arena from where we sit. It didn't seem to be quite as problematic for the supporters behind the goals. But I've got a thought in my mind here, and I think Jan Molby agrees. There we go, the match is scheduled to restart in a few minutes. Thanks for your patience. That's what the cheer is for. That's just come up on the big screen. But I've looked at the body language of the French, Jan Molby, and I've looked at the body language of the Ukrainians, and France, to me, don't seem too keen, yet Ukraine don't seem too bothered.
No, that's right, and that could play into Ukrainian hands. They definitely want to play. They're here, they're ready. The French play a different game. You know, they will think with their possession football and whatever, this might harm the way they play more than the Ukrainian. But as you look at the pitch now, it's not perfect, it's not ideal, but it's very playable, and this match will go ahead.
Mark, the French players have obviously never played on a Sunday morning. This is fine. And out come the French team on cue. You can hear the jeers. So we are going to restart here in Donetsk. I can see Bjorn Kuipers, the referee, just being given the match ball from the goalkeeper from Ukraine, Piatov. So it looks as though we're about to go, Mark. Very, very soon we'll have the Ukraine team out and we'll get the game restarted. And we played 4 minutes and 21 seconds, by the way.
And you'll resume from there, won't you?
Yes.
And so we still don't know whether England will be knocked on. We haven't been able to find that out yet. Gardner's Question Time have been on there, Darren. They're quite impressed with your knowledge of the big red machine thing that got the water off. So you might get a job on there.
I have actually spoken to a couple of television companies behind this to see if they got any information about that, and they don't know at this stage either what's going to happen with the England match. But both sets of players are out there on the field now, so Laurent Blanc's still wearing a frown. I think I'd better just run through the starting 11s again, because it's been quite a while since we last gave you to them. So this is the Ukraine team. Piatov is the goalkeeper. Husev, Kacharidi, Mikulik and Selin. Then Timochuk and Nazarenko, with Yarmolenko and Konoplyanka wide and Voronin supporting Shevchenko. From a France perspective, they made 2 changes starting the match. Clichy came in for Everett and Menez for Malouda. So Loris, the captain, is the goalkeeper. Then Debuchy, Mexes, Rami and Clichy. Kabay, Diarra and Nasri, with Menez and Ribéry outside of Benzema. Nothing really happened in the game, did it, Jan, before the abandonment? So we are effectively starting from scratch with an 86-minute match.
Yeah, if anything, the French had probably settled slightly the better. They were just playing their possession football. But that's right to say, I mean, that won't have any bearing on what we're going to see now. It's going to be the attitude of the players, how ready you are to play.
Well, we're going to start with a drop ball as well. We're not going to start with a kick-off, because this is where the game was when it was abandoned by the referee, Bjorn Kuipers. The ball is dropped. It's knocked back by Frank Ribéry, away to the left-hand side, to the left full-back of Ukraine, Selin. And I just felt 1 or 2 spits of rain. The skies are still extremely black above the stadium, and we'll keep an eye on that as much as the match on the field, as it's hit long towards Shevchenko, and Rami is just able to duck out of the way and allow it to roll through to the goalkeeper Loris. In all red away to our right-hand side. France, remember, are playing from right to left in the first half. They're wearing all navy. It's all yellow for Ukraine. It was such a good atmosphere, Jan, wasn't it, to start the match? It's a shame, really, that they couldn't get on with it, because the Ukraine supporters were really making a lot of noise. There was a lot of atmosphere and a lot of expectancy, and we'll wait and see just how this delay in proceedings has affected things.
Well, obviously they enjoyed themselves while the delay was, and I have to say well done to everybody. It was dealt with in a calm manner by UEFA and also by the fans. The fans have been fantastic in the hour where they've been waiting for the match to resume. Yeah,
the delay was just about an hour, wasn't it? Almost to the minute. The delay that we had. Here come France down the left-hand side with Karim Benzema. Gets away from Yarmolenko just outside the penalty area. Right foot shot, goalkeeper had to beat it away, and then he's able to make the catch at the second attempt. But that was really good from Benzema on the left-hand side, cutting in and unleashing a really good right foot shot that was at Piatov.
It's one of those days, isn't it? Shoot on sight, shoot from wherever you can, test the goalkeeper.
Big kick forward by the Ukraine goalkeeper, headed up into the air by Mexes, who's got the ponytail and the fair hair. Voronin will win the ball back on the left-hand side for Ukraine. It's just outside the France penalty area. Now it's played over there on the far side to Shevchenko, and then Voronin back towards the halfway line, and the big tall figure of Kacharidi with the shaved head. That's not the best of balls, although Kacharidi will get there before the onrushing Benzema and play it back to Piatov, the goalkeeper, who can clear. Controlled on this right-hand side by Husev, the right-back, who really likes to get forward. We saw that a lot against Sweden in the opening group match for Ukraine. That 2-1 win. And then Husev heads the ball infield to Timochuk, and Timochuk, the Bayern Munich player, concedes a throw-in on the left-hand side. Laurent Blanc in the grey suit, he stood just in front of the technical area down below us. No sign of Oleg Blokhin as yet, the Ukraine coach, who sat down on the bench. France in possession with Philippe Mexes, the AC Milan defender, just short of the halfway line, played it forward towards Benzema, and he's challenged, and the ball is won back by Ukraine, and now they free Shevchenko on the left-hand side. Listen to the noise inside the stadium. Yarmolenko and Voronin wait in the centre, but Shevchenko can't get the cross in. He was tackled over there on the far side by Debuchy, and France are able to clear, but they'll come back again. Will Ukraine, with the very lively Konoplyanka, the left winger, who had a really good match against Sweden. 5 players, by the way, from Dynamo Kiev in the starting 11. Only 1 from their bitter rival Shakhtar Donetsk. That's the goalkeeper Piatov, in his own stadium. Here come France running through the centre. First time they've really been able to get forward down this left-hand side with Clichy, and then rolled down the line towards Ribéry. He is challenged on the touchline by Husev, who just got a knock in the face in the process, and that's going to be a throw to France, level with the edge of the Ukraine penalty area on the left-hand side. Clichy to take it, throws the ball infield to Ribéry just outside the penalty net. Now Benzema, who lost control of the ball. Kacharidi is then able to win it back and then backheel it away from the onrushing Menez, and then run towards the halfway line. That was good defending by Kacharidi. He didn't seem that confident against Sweden the other night.
No, that's right. He did that ever so well, didn't he? Tried to bring the ball out from the back then. Unfortunately, it was a poor pass in the end. But the French are trying to test the pitch on where can they play and where can't they play, whereas the Ukrainian are having a much more of an aggressive approach, trying to be physically strong in the challenge and getting the ball forward very quick.
Laurent Blanc was saying in the build-up to the match that the concern he'd got about his team was the lack of leaders in the middle of the park. If you've not got leadership tonight with the abandonment and the slightly strange conditions, that could be an issue for the French. But 0-0, we've played 8.5 minutes, which has taken over an hour, and Ukraine have got a throw in on the left-hand side in their left-back position, and it's thrown towards the halfway line and headed away. Ball won back by Cabaye. And now it's over there on the far side with Debuchy. Makes a good run towards the edge of the penalty area. Now Nasri just outside the D to Benzema. Benzema challenged. It was a sliding challenge. There were 3 Ukrainians around the ball and they're able to clear, but that was good from France. The first time that we've seen Nasri become involved in the play. Now here's Mexes. Out towards Clichy on the left-hand side. Preferred to Evra tonight. Now Ribéry, challenged by Yarmolenko. Then challenged by Husev. And the ball is steered behind, and that's going to be a corner to France on the left. Jan Molby.
I think what you've already seen is that the French have got better players. They've got better players in key areas, and when they get the ball into the likes of Benzema and Ribéry and Nasri, they will cause this Ukrainian team problems, that's for sure.
Nasri's come across to take the corner from the left-hand side. They've sent Mexes into the penalty area, Rami as well. It's a deep ball in towards Diarra, just too high for him, and stabbed away by the Ukrainian defenders. But back come France. Shot comes in from just outside the penalty area by Debuchy, and that's claimed pretty comfortably on one bounce by Piatov in the Ukraine goal.
Yeah, it was the best of back pass, wasn't it? But again, it was the policy that we're going to see tonight. Plenty of shots trying to catch the goalkeeper out.
Remember, France won 4-1 in this arena against Ukraine last November, but 3 of those 4 goals were scored after 87 minutes, and there aren't too many of the French players who played that night in the starting lineup. This is the Russian capital, so to speak, of Ukraine, the capital of the Russian-speaking part of Ukraine. Kiev is at the eastern side of Ukraine, where the majority of people speak Ukrainian. Here, a lot of people speak Russian, and that's why you get this big divide between Shakhtar Donetsk and Dynamo Kiev. And of course there are significantly more Dynamo Kiev players in the Ukraine starting lineup tonight than there are players from Shakhtar Donetsk. At the moment though, France are enjoying the better of it and looking the more dangerous, and Ribéry has made a lively start down the left hand side. In possession now, just had his ankles tapped by his Bayern Munich teammate Timoshuk, and that's going to be a free kick to the French midway inside the Ukraine half on the left-hand side. Still 0-0, 11 minutes gone. Lifted forward by Nasri to Benzema inside the box, but the flag is up on the far side, and that's going to be a free kick inside the penalty area to Ukraine. It's hard to see that linesman's flag over there, Jan, with all the yellow shirts behind him.
Yeah, it is indeed, but just going back to Nasri, he's playing in the middle to take control, isn't he? Now, I think they lacked somebody in there in the first game against England. The idea is now for him to take control. The other two, Diarra and Cabaye, they'll keep the balance and make sure they don't get caught.
Ball played forward to the left-hand side. The target was Ribéry, and it's not dealt with particularly effectively by the Ukraine defenders. In the end, Kacharidis was moved to one side by the goalkeeper, and he was able to smother that ball inside the penalty area. Menez has made a decent start, hasn't he, as well on the right-hand side. He's seen plenty of the football early on, Jan.
Yeah, he's a lively player, got 2 good quick feet. He creates, and that's what they lacked in the first game. Somebody could create. He does exactly that. He's created a lot of goals this season, and obviously they're hoping he's going to do the same tonight.
Had 3 years in Italy with AS Roma, did Menez. He's back with Moneybags Paris Saint-Germain these days. Had a bit of a tough time of it during his time in Rome, but preferred tonight to Florent Malouda in this starting 11 for France. We're going to see the first yellow card, I think. I think it's going to be Clichy, as it just started to reach for his pocket, Bjorn Kuipers, and then changed his mind. The player that was challenged is Yarmolenko, the tall right-sided midfield player for Ukraine, and Kuipers, one of the more experienced officials in the tournament, just says to Clichy just to calm it down a little bit, and Yarmolenko comes forward already caked in mud. Conditions extremely wet and heavy here in Donetsk on 5 Live from the BBC. Every game live, of course, from inside the stadium on 5 Live, and that's the reason we're here, because of conditions like we've had tonight, to bring you all of the stories as they unfold. Here's Husev to Nazarenko with a shaved head on the right. Good run forward by Husev at the byline. Whips in the cross, headed away by Debuchy from the edge of the 6-yard box. Best move of the game so far from Ukraine. And they'll attack once more down the right-hand side with Nazarenko. Challenged by a combination of Clichy and Ribéry and the ball rolls out of play for a throw-in on the left side to France, and we see more lightning, Jan Molby, above this stadium.
Yeah, but not a surprise that it was Gusev again who's involved. And as he put the cross in, you see the similar run to his 2 goals in the first game. Shevchenko, he tries to attack that near post. This time it goes far. He couldn't quite get bodies into the penalty area of the Ukrainians.
Don't forget, we've got full commentary of England against Sweden to come. 7:45 your time. If we hear that fixture has been pushed back at all, we'll of course let you know straight away on 5 Live. And I'm pretty sure that if the England game is going to kick off at 7:45, we'll switch this match to Sports Extra, so you'll have the opportunity to listen to whichever game you want to on 5 Live from the BBC. And Alan Green, Mike Ingham, Chris Waddle and Graham Taylor, your commentary team, and Mark Pugac leading our team in Kiev. Ukraine have got the ball. They've just settled a little bit after a lively start by the French following the restart. You know when they're coming forward because you get this almighty roar. Conor Plianka running down the left. A challenge comes in from first Diarra and then Debussy, and then Debussy is just rather thuggishly knocked off the ball by Nazarenko, and that's going to be a free kick midway inside their own half to France on the far side. He's one of the players, isn't he, Jan, who's really impressed everybody after the first round of matches. Mathieu Debussy, the right back of France.
Yeah, he looks a very good fullback, good defensively, comes forward, always tries to create that extra spare man. He's got good delivery. He's had a shot already in this match.
Here's Mexes coming forward, and now Clichy on the left-hand side. Clichy challenged by Yarmolenko, slipped in field to Ribéry. Good challenge on the edge of the penalty area though by Michalik, and Ukraine are able to clear towards Shevchenko, who's pushed over from behind by Mexes. AC Milan current against AC Milan former, and that's a free kick 10 yards short of the halfway line to Ukraine. I think he is going to be on the move, Debussy, at the end of the tournament. Agreed to stay at Lille for one more season under the proviso that he could leave after this tournament, so he's got everything to play for, with some of the bigger clubs in European football monitoring his progress. 0-0 here on 5 Live. We played 15 minutes in Donetsk between France and Ukraine, and Benzema is coming forward for the French. Lays it off to Cabaye of Newcastle. Cabaye's forward ball deflects off Timoshuk, and then Ribéry can pick it up midway inside the Ukraine half on the left-hand side. Crossed in by Clichy. Good ball in towards Benzema. Heads it backwards towards Cabaye. Picked up by Michalik, and he can stab it away towards the halfway line. But it's noticeable, Jan, the pitch is starting to cut up already with the amount of water it's taken on board.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to happen, isn't it? But there's no service water which is helping the play. It's not a bad game. Cross from Clichy. I thought Benzema did ever so well. He was in the penalty box. He tried to head it back. The attacking midfield players couldn't quite get there. And
of course, if the pitch is too damaged tonight by this match being played on it, that could have a knock-on effect for England, who play their final group match here against Ukraine. You know, if the pitch has got holes in it and the groundsman can't repair it quickly enough by the time that next game comes around in 3 days, then that could potentially be a concern for Roy Hodgson.
Yeah, but they'll get that ready, won't they? There's enough ground staff here. They've done a super job already to get this match on, so I'm sure they can go.
I'll be interested to see what state it's in by full time. Benzema to Ribéry, who skins away from a couple of challenges, and he plays a good ball into the penalty area. Flags up on the far side. Ball from the back of the net. Menez thinks he scored, but the minute that ball was slipped through by Franck Ribéry, the flag went up quickly on the far side, and Ukraine survived. But they look very sharp tonight, France.
Yeah, they do. They've started ever so well. I mean, we thought it looked like they didn't quite want to continue the match because of the rain and the surface water on the pitch, but they've come out firing all cylinders. Ribéry's getting involved. Nasri's enjoying his new role. They're creating space. As of yet, they haven't created that one chance, but they look sharp.
Having just seen the replay, there was no reason for Menez to be offside because he was looking right along the line and just didn't stop when he saw the Ukrainian defenders start to push out. Laurent Blanc, I've just seen him on the monitor. He's got a smile on his face again at last, after looking pretty fed up while the rain was coming down.
Yeah, but I think if you look at the way that these players approach this match, the restart of it, I think he'll be absolutely delighted. It's exactly what he expected. I think he knows that the Ukrainian, although they won the first game, they've got weaknesses. I think we've seen that. They had a lot of the ball against Sweden, did ever so well, but I just think France are dominating possession. They've got good players who are taking them on. They're creating one or two opportunities.
I think the general consensus was as well that the French side had got a lot of improvement in them from the team that we saw against England have lots and lots of possession but didn't really look like scoring too many goals. They certainly lacked creativity for all of the possession they had in the opening group game against England, which they drew 1-1, of course. Don't forget, a win tonight for Ukraine and they would be through to the quarter-finals, although the French have had the ball in the net and are looking pretty strong. Ribéry on the left-hand side. There's an offside flag up again on the far side against France, and it'll be a free kick once more midway inside the Ukraine half on the right-hand side. So pleased to be bringing this match at last, live from the Donbass Arena in Donetsk, where the humidity is certainly starting to return. Hope the midges don't come back with it. There is still a little bit of moisture in the air. There is still a bit of lightning around as well. But if we look up to the skies, just for the first time in quite a while, Jan, significant breaks in the cloud, which is good to see.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that can stop this match now is if it comes back to rain, is what I don't think it will. I think we'll be fine. It's been a good start.
I feel as much like a weatherman as a commentator tonight. So 0-0. Nazarenko in possession for Ukraine, midway inside his own half. Back to Kacheridi. The two centre-backs of Ukraine have really got to play well tonight, with all of the fluidity and movement and invention in the French team, as has this man Voronin, who ran the show in the 2-1 win against Sweden. Played out towards the left-hand side and clipped in by Shevchenko towards Voronin, headed away by Mexes, and then Timoshuk could regain possession for Ukraine just outside the centre circle and play the ball back into his own half to Mikulik. Now Nazarenko, and then Mikulik will turn it back to the goalkeeper. Piatov away to the left-hand side is the most experienced player other than Shevchenko in the squad. Is the most experienced goalkeeper, certainly, bearing in mind they lost two goalkeepers in the build-up to the tournament. Piatov wouldn't have been the first choice, but he's got the jersey by the fact that the other two that would have been above him in the pecking order are unable to take part in the tournament, as is Dmitro Chigrinsky, the former Barcelona defender, who's arguably the best centre-back in this Ukraine side. Ball on the edge of the penalty area with Menez, who tried to flick it through and couldn't manage it, and forward comes Yarmolenko, challenged by Diarra, and Diarra wins the ball back for France just outside the centre circle. 0-0, and we've played 20 minutes with Menez under pressure from Shevchenko, and yet more lightning above the arena here in Donetsk. Just when you think it's gone away, we get more lightning. Here's Nasri. Got much more freedom in this reshaped France team tonight. Looked a bit isolated at times, didn't he, against England wide. Couldn't really get involved in the game too much, but Laurent Blanc has certainly tried to tactically change it tonight to make Nasri a greater influence on the play.
Well, he lacked width and tempo in the first game, France. That might not be the case tonight. The weather's also kinder than in the first game against England, and I just think this lineup with Nasri centrally suits them better.
Here come Ukraine down the left-hand side. Konoplyanka just challenged over there on the left-hand side is Ukraine play by Debussy. That's going to be a throw-in on the left to Ukraine. Of course, there are advantages of the storm that we've just had. It was stiflingly hot when we arrived at the stadium. It's much cooler now, which, even though the conditions underfoot aren't ideal for the players, they'll certainly be happy, Jan, that it's not as hot and as humid as it was earlier on today.
No, absolutely. I mean, it was difficult to work out the stifling conditions, who were they going to suit the better. But certainly this weather is absolutely perfect for football.
Here's Ribéry on the halfway line, 0-0 in this Group D game involving Ukraine and France. A win for Ukraine and they're through. A victory for France and they'd move on to 4 points with Sweden to play in the final match, which you will hear, of course, on 5 Live and 5 Live Sports Extra. When we get to those games that are played simultaneously, the final group matches, you'll hear one game on 5 Live and one game on Sports Extra. So every game covered, every kick of Euro 2012 on the home of live football, 5 Live. France attacking down the right-hand side. Menez won't keep the ball in play, and it's a throw to Ukraine on the left.
But they do want to get him involved, Menez. He's been sharp, tried a couple of flicks. He's got real pace. He's going to be a handful all night. Just
the one shot at goal, though, so far from Karim Benzema when he cut in from the left-hand side. Unleashed the shot with power that was saved by Piatov. But apart from that, the game has mainly been played in the middle third, although the French have certainly looked the more likely. They've had the ball in the back of the net, which was ruled out for offside. And at the moment, Piatov is clearing the ball in all green from away to the left up towards the halfway line. Free header for Mexes. Lovely touch by Ribéry. Then a challenge by Kacheridi on Nasri. Clears the danger from the edge of the Ukraine penalty area. And then Debussy can play it forward to Menez. And then Menez can clip it back to Adil Rami of Valencia. They call him the body Jan, Adil Rami, because he's so finely toned and cut. Makes you jealous, doesn't it? Well, it
no, it doesn't make you jealous at all, but he does look a fine player. Anyone who can play alongside Mexes and not get too disturbed by that experience will do for me.
Here's Nazarenko, plays it to Shevchenko on the left-hand side. There's a roar every time Ukraine come forward. First time cross in by Shevchenko. Voronin didn't read it, and it's cleared out by Mexes for a throw on the left-hand side.
Mexes is a far better international player than he is a club player. Big things were expecting when he's at Auxerre. It hasn't quite happened. But he's settled into this French team well, that's for sure.
Does look prone to mistakes, doesn't he, with AC Milan? But if you look at his record in a French shirt, I think he's played 26 times for his country, and they've kept 17 clean sheets.
I just see a
in the
blonde
26
boom
internationals.
song. That's what I see every time I look at him.
Yeah, you said that this morning.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that could be a song. It's just a Blondell and boom song. You could do that, couldn't you? Not sure how that translates into Ukrainian for tonight, though. Blocking has been... well, he's not been to the edge of the technical area at all since the game restarted. He didn't sit down in the match against Sweden. Blanc is down below us, looking studious with his arms folded and his hand on his chin, as Ukraine in all yellow come forward down the right-hand side. 24 minutes gone, still 0-0. Timoshuk tackled by Ribéry, and then Ribéry tackled by Nazarenko, and Yarmolenko can turn the ball back to the goalkeeper Piatov, who can clear.
It always gives defenders an advantage when the pitch is like this. They use the slide tackle whenever they can. Difficult for attackers to get away.
Here's Yarmolenko on the right. We've not seen too much of the Ukraine wingers so far in this match, although they were so effective, particularly second half, against the Swedes. Yarmolenko switches it out towards the shorter, slighter figure of Konoplyanka on the left-hand side, and then Selin plays the ball infield to Kacharidi, and Kacharidi, the much taller of the two centre-backs for Ukraine, can cross the halfway line. Forward to Voronin. More lightning above the stadium. Voronin to Konoplyanka, and then to Shevchenko. Good ball infield to Nazarenko. Yarmolenko is available on the right. Charging past him, Husev. Still Yarmolenko, low shot, dragged it just wide. Loris went plunging to his left, and the ball nestles in the side netting for a goal kick to France.
Yeah, they worked it ever so well. What we saw in the first game against Sweden, they worked it from one side to the other. Voronin was involved. Shot, and it's again, there's options, isn't it? They had plenty of men forward, decides to come inside and shoot.
I think that's going to be significant, Jan, in this match, if they can get the fullbacks pushed on Ukraine, as we saw against Sweden, because both Selin on the left and Husev on the right almost played as attacking players, didn't they, in the second half?
Yeah, but it was slightly easier against the Swedes because they had an awful lot of possession. They haven't had that as of yet. I guess once they get settled and they get Voronin in the game, they might just take a few more chances from full-back positions.
It looks a lot lighter above the stadium. It looked like night time. It looked like midnight half an hour ago. We've got white cloud above and just a little bit of blue sky trying to poke through as well. The pitch cutting up particularly down the left-hand side where that heavy rain had waterlogged that area where they've had the machine on it. That's where the pitch
you like that machine,
is cutting up. I might get one for the garden. Here's Clichy on the left. And now Benzema just outside the Ukraine penalty area with Clichy supporting him. Three defenders are over there. They're crowding around the ball a lot, aren't they, Ukraine? Not really allowing France to settle when they get around the penalty area, hunting in packs and defending in numbers. And they've got the ball out for a throw-in on the left-hand side, which Clichy is preparing to take. Ribéry available, so is Nasri. And Nasri, though, then muscled aside by Nazarenko, but he's lost it to Ribéry. Roll back to Benzema. Now it's with Menez. Menez went for goal and hit it over the bar. It was a promising position. Oleg Blokhin comes sprinting from the bench and berates his players, but they lost themselves a little bit there, Ukraine, and allowed France very good possession and a good chance inside the penalty area.
Yeah, they simply weren't aware of where the French players were. Ribéry has nicked that ball off the defender, and I think Menez does ever so well in the end. He uses the run of Benzema to create space for himself. Unfortunately, he just leans back a little bit and just lifts it over the crossbar. 27
minutes played. You're listening to 5 Live from the BBC. Ukraine 0, France 0. The better opportunities have gone the way of the French, although Ukraine had that little moment as well just before that last France attack when Yarmolenko hit a shot from the edge of the penalty area just wide. England against Sweden to come. You'll hear the whole game live on 5 Live with Graham Taylor, with Chris Waddle, with Alan Green and Mike Ingham. And we'll rejoin Mark Pugac in Kiev at half-time to begin the build-up to that match. And we'll wait and see exactly what time it's going to kick off. At the moment, it looks as though it's going to kick off at the time it was supposed to. So if that changes, we'll let you know. Here come France. Menez, who started off very well in this game, runs forward. And then Debuchy takes over on the far side. Gets through a challenge. Across goes Selin to cover him over on the far side. Rolled back now to Johan Cabaye. And then Cabaye to the tall, leggy figure of Alou Diarra. And then Ribéry in a central position to Benzema. Benzema runs towards the penalty area. Gets the ball on his right foot. It's a low shot. And that's smothered by the goalkeeper, Piatov. No real danger for Piatov, but that's a couple of times now where Benzema has cut in from the left-hand side and hit right foot shots.
Yeah, but he's still not playing as a lone striker. He's still coming back, going deep to try and get involved, to try and cut inside and have shots. But just looking at the match, I still think Ukraine are doing as well as can be expected against this class of opposition. This is a good French team. I think they're doing okay. They're not as dominant, they're not playing as well as they did against Sweden, but this is a different class of opposition.
Pretty sure that Oleg Blokhin, as the Mexican wave starts around the stadium, they might need to do that, some of the fans, to get dry as much as anything. France almost give the ball away. Mexes had to slide in and clear under pressure from Shevchenko. It did take Ukraine a while to get going against Sweden, didn't it? Almost had to believe in themselves a little bit before they could really play.
It took a while for them to produce their best football of the night, that's for sure. Shevchenko in the first half, sort of almost played by memory, didn't he? But in the second half he came alive, got his goals. The wide men were very impressive. They haven't quite got to that level yet.
They deserve to enjoy the wave, these supporters, what they've had to sit through. It's a yellow wave sweeping around the stadium. That's a back pass by Clichy that only just got there. Voronin was sprinting after it, and the French captain Hugo Lloris was able to clear. Timoshuk then plays a poor pass, and Ribéry snaffles onto it. Benzema in the middle, really important deflection. Got a fall for Menez. Excellent save by Piatov. Best chance of the game for France. Menez should have scored. Piatov with a really important save.
Absolutely. I mean, it was the pace of Ribéry, wasn't it? He got beyond the defender. He tries to play it back for Benzema, and the condition helps. The defender slips, and there comes Menez. All day it's a goal. It's only the goalkeeper to beat. Completely gets it wrong. That is a real great opportunity. Should have been 1-0.
Here is Jeremy Menez again for France. Infield to Benzema, and then the ball is cleared away by Cacciaridi from the edge of the penalty area. I know you said a few minutes ago that the defenders often have the advantage on a night like this, but they sometimes don't hit the back passes hard enough, and we've seen it at both ends, haven't we, where goalkeepers and defenders have been concerned by under-hit back passes in conditions where the ball slows very quickly.
I also think they got taken slightly by surprise, the pace of Ribéry when he got in behind. I think if the pass would have come in for Benzema, it probably would have been a goal. In the end, it probably ended up almost being a better chance. But of course, the guy who had the chance in the end, Menez, is not as prolific as Benzema.
Frank Ribéry received more criticism than most after that failed campaign in the World Cup in South Africa. Had his best statistical season this year with Bayern Munich in terms of appearances and goals and assists and all that kind of thing, but we are still really waiting to see Ribéry make an impact on the biggest stage in a major tournament like this. The ball is played down the right hand side. There's a chase on over there for Jeremy Menez, who will lose that chase, and it's behind for a goal kick away to our left hand side to Ukraine.
It's almost a trend, isn't it? So many great players having great club careers and average international careers.
Why is that? Any idea?
I have no idea.
Let's get some news from Mark Pugac in Kiev. Mark.
Just a delay of 15 minutes here so that we don't collide with your match, Darren. So 8 o'clock your time back at home. We'll start here in Kiev for England against Sweden. 8 o'clock your time.
Thanks, Mark. That's why there were so many suits on the field, Jan, to make sure we got these decisions just right today. Never seen so many blazes in one
I can't tell you how glad I was to see them all. I don't know how we'd have coped without UEFA officials everywhere.
So the England match has been pushed back by 15 minutes. It will be an 8 o'clock start UK time, so it's a 10 o'clock start in Ukraine. Graham and Chris, Alan and Mike, Mark Pugac as well, bringing you the whole game live from the Olympic Stadium in Kiev, England's second match in Group D. It means you won't miss a second of this game on 5 Live between Ukraine and France, which is 0-0 with 14 minutes to play in the first half. Yarmolenko tried to slip it through towards Shevchenko. Picked up though now by Diarra, who's a big strong player and hard to knock off the ball, but Timoshuk has won it back for Ukraine, and now it's with Nazarenko. Fed forward now to Voronin, just outside the penalty area. Yarmolenko flicks it back inside to Voronin, who's then tackled by Diarra. Cabaye can play it down the left-hand side to Ribéry, who I think really fancies his pace against Husev, and he goes blazing by him down the left-hand side. Ribéry still hurdles the challenge. Did that get a touch off the Ukrainian? I don't think it did. Bjorn Kuipers is going to award a goal kick, but that's certainly something to watch. The pace of Frank Ribéry down the left-hand side against the right fullback Husev, who does like to push on down the right side for Ukraine. So 0-0 here after 32 minutes. Let's update the US Open golf. Here's Russell Fuller.
Birdies at the 15th and 16th have taken Graham McDowell to 2 under par, outright second. He's 2 shots behind the leader Michael Thompson. He has 9 holes of his second round to play. News of Lee Westwood, he's 2 over. Rory McIlroy, he's 8 over. And Luke Donald, he's 10 over, halfway through their second rounds.
Thanks, Russell. Here's Conor Plianka. Tries the shot from the angle of the penalty area, always rising. And Loris, in all red, the French captain and goalkeeper, is happy to see that fly over his crossbar. Just to let you know as well that everything you want during Euro 2012 is on the BBC website. We've got the goals, the highlights, all the stories as well, bbc.co.uk, and you will find the most comprehensive coverage of the championship. And we've actually got an orange sky above the stadium now. It's very effective. If you're a fan of climates and weather and all that kind of thing, you've been in your element here today.
And you've been a weatherman. What does that exactly mean, an orange sky?
You see, it's a good job that we've moved on from the days where they put stickers onto a map. Now we've got pictures and satellites and all moving stuff. We're right there now.
Anyway, all the game needs
is a goal.
Correct.
What we have got inside the stadium is a gigantic yellow Ukraine jersey, which is being passed around the lower tier on the far side of the stadium here in Donetsk. 0-0. 33 minutes gone in the first half. The truncated first half that was abandoned after 4 minutes and 20 seconds, if you're just joining us, due to a severe electrical storm which flooded the field inside the stadium. Had about an hour's delay. The ground staff worked hard. We waited for the thunder and lightning to pass, and then the play resumed just after 8 o'clock local time. There's a bit of cutting up on the left-hand side, one or two scars where most of the water was, but the pitch in general has played pretty well, despite the fact it's taken on so much rain. I thought it would be a slower surface than we're seeing. The ball is bouncing through and it's rolling okay. And here's Shevchenko inside the penalty area. Shevchenko hits it from the angle, beaten away by Loris. Really good save. Shevchenko's come alive in this tournament.
Yeah, he did ever so well there, Shevchenko. I mean, first to get away, it's that trademark run of his. He checks and goes beyond the central defender, and when the pass comes you think he's still got an awful lot to do, but he takes it first time on his head inside the defender and hits a great volley, unfortunately straight at the goalkeeper.
Just shows, doesn't it, even the great ones need a confidence boost. He looked like a player feeling in the dark for 45 minutes against Sweden. The two headers have totally changed his game. He looked sharp. The chance we've just seen there was vintage Shevchenko.
Yeah, it was fantastic play, and he probably is their only and best hope, isn't it? If they're going to score goals, you feel it will have to be Shevchenko. The rest of them don't look capable of scoring goals at this level.
Shevchenko needs 2 for 50 at international level. There really is a picturesque scene above the stadium with the dark sky surrounding an orange cloudy patch in the middle. And then we've got the yellow shirts inside the arena, which is just about full. I think it is actually completely full.
Oh no, everybody's back in their seats.
Yeah.
There's one or two people who obviously drifted to the back of the stands, but everybody's back. But I have to say, I much prefer the action on the field compared to what's happening in the stadium.
A very small pocket of French fans on the far side. I think they've brought the fewest
They've come in a minibus,
supporters of anybody, haven't they, to
incredible.
the tournament. Piatov clears from the edge of the penalty area. One in the air by Rami, midway inside the French half, and then the ball is on the far side with the right fullback Debuchy, and then Debuchy down the line to Menes, who's had the ball in the net in this first half. It was ruled out for an offside, and now France have won a throw just inside Ukraine territory on the right. 9 minutes to play in the first half, 0-0. England against Sweden to come. 8 o'clock kickoff now, your time. It's been pushed back 15 minutes because of the delay for the storm here in Donetsk, and you'll hear the whole game live on 5 Live from the BBC. Diarra's got the ball just outside the centre circle, and then Nasri. And Nasri lifts it forward towards Benzema. Inside right channel, Benzema has bundled the defender Celine over, the left back, and that's going to be a free kick on the left edge of the penalty area to Ukraine. Jan Molby.
Yeah, he just clips the legs of the defender there, Benzema. They're still having one or two problems really getting him involved. We've seen no action from him inside the penalty area in the 2 games so far, and I think if you're the coach of Laurent Blanc and you look at your main striker, you'd want to spend some more time in that penalty area, because you know, well, it appears that way anyway, that the weakness of the Ukrainian team is those 2 centre-halves.
Long ball forward for Yarmolenko to chase. It's dangerous inside the penalty area for Clichy. Loris only just got there. Clichy didn't really know where the ball had gone, and Loris's clearance has spun behind for a corner, but he's got a significant height advantage as Yarmolenko over Clichy, and when the high ball was played forward, the Manchester City defender didn't really deal with it, did he?
Well, that's exactly it, isn't it? He didn't deal with it. At times you do your job in that situation is to defend, clear the ball. He didn't deal with it.
Corner to Ukraine on the right side, delivered by Nazarenko. Flat missed kick. Here's a chance away by Mexes. It was totally missed at the near post by Rami, I think, and Mexes was able, in fact it was Benzema, and Mexes was able to arrive and deny Shevchenko a chance from close range.
Well, lucky for the French, that ball fell to another French defender, so they cleared it.
Nazarenko then crosses, blocked behind by Nasri, and it'll be a second successive corner to Ukraine on the right, who are enjoying their best spell of the half.
Absolutely, but it was a poor delivery from the set piece. They don't want to do that again. They are leaving that near post area, aren't they, for somebody to go and attack it. Shevchenko makes the run a little bit too early, I feel.
Nazarenko's corner better this time, flicked away again by Philip Mexes from just outside the 6-yard box. and then headed forward by Voronin. Cabaye can control and find Benzema on the left-hand side in the muddy patch of field. Forward it goes now to Menez, and then Menez to Ribéry on the left-hand side. Ribéry away from Husev, and he was fouled, Franck Ribéry, and it will be a free kick to France just outside the angle of the penalty area on the left-hand side, deep in Ukraine territory.
Yeah, he's thinking, isn't he, the right back, Husev. I really enjoyed my time against Sweden, attacked at will, and he's been put on the back foot a little bit by Ribéry, that's for sure.
Laurent Blanc decided the time is right to enjoy a lollipop, so the French coach is munching away on a lollipop down there, while Blocking further along the touchline, who's dressed for action tonight with the polo shirt on and the tracksuit bottoms and the trainers, is pointing and gesticulating at his players. I think he wants Shevchenko to make it a two-man wall alongside Voronin, because Samir Nasri is standing over the free kick. Rami and Mexes have gone forward from centre-back into a very crowded Ukraine penalty area. You can hear the whistles and jeers from the Ukraine supporters. Free kick sent in towards Mexes, headed goalwards. Brilliant save by Piatov. Springing to his left to tip the ball round the post for a corner. Mexes thought he'd scored. He can't believe Piatov saved it.
Yeah, Nasri's free kick, and it's just hung up, isn't it? It's just inviting. Go and attack it, and when you need a local hero, up pops the Shakhtar goalkeeper.
Two saves from the man who plays his club football in this very stadium for the Ukraine champions Shakhtar Donetsk. Corner swung in by Nasri. Diarra's header, and that's blocked inside the 6-yard box by a Ukrainian defender and played away towards Shevchenko. And now the veteran's going to try and turn defence into attack for Ukraine. And he's wriggled away from Menez's challenge. Then he's been fouled by Jeremy Menez, who's going to be shown a yellow card by Bjorn Kuipers. And it's a free kick 5 yards short of halfway to Ukraine. No, he's made two fantastic saves. That last one was fantastic with his left hand, his fingertips of his left hand, just denying Mexes a goal.
There's another problem we probably didn't see coming. Set pieces. They created two great opportunities from those. The French, I didn't think that was going to be the case. When the balls come out, Shevchenko's received the ball 65 yards from goal. I mean, he was never going to run away from the defenders. I actually think in the end, free kick, yes, booking, harsh.
That yellow card for Menez is the first yellow card that either of these teams have been shown in the tournament so far, so none of the players walking a disciplinary tightrope tonight with regard to a suspension for the final group match, although Menez has certainly got to watch himself now tonight. Here's Husev for Ukraine to Yarmolenko, yard in from the right touchline, tackled by Cabaye, and that's going to be a throw-in now to Ukraine further up the touchline, almost level with the edge of the France penalty area, as the Ukraine supporters inside this stadium really start to make some noise. 4.5 minutes to go in the first half on 5 Live. 0-0, but some really good chances for both teams, particularly France, who have found Piatov in the Ukraine goal in top form. Here's Yarmolenko. Little ball infield to Voronin, and then Voronin tried to play it through to Shevchenko, who turns around and applauds the pass. Voronin just hit it slightly too hard, and it's gone behind for a goal kick to the French.
He had the freedom of the Olympic Stadium in Kiev. Voronin, it's not quite happening from here now. I think Cabaye and Diarra is doing a much better defensive job.
Just seen that save again on the replay from Mexes. The more you see it, the better it looks.
Yeah, it was a fantastic save. I mean, you know, the best save I've seen up till then was probably Shea Given yesterday against the Spanish. That was another great save.
Couldn't really have headed it any more accurately, Philip Mexes. It was destined for the top corner before Piatov clawed the ball away. Nasri for France to Benzema again on the left-hand side. Ball struck the arm of Karim Benzema, and it's a free kick in the right-back position for Ukraine.
Yeah,
Jan Mulby grimaces.
Yeah, because you're looking at Benzema and you're thinking, well, what did you need to backheel that for?
Yeah.
Just get it under control and play and take it a bit more serious.
He frustrates you, doesn't he, Benzema? Here's Yarmolenko in the meantime, attacking down the right for Ukraine. Sends in the cross, which bends off the outside of his right boot and spins behind for a goal kick to France. He frustrates you, Benzema, doesn't he, at international level?
In situations like that, he does. He would never dream of doing that for Real Madrid, you know, because he knows he's going to get an earful. It's in a position where you're just about to counter-attack, get the ball under control, take care of your next pass, and he tries to back heels, and as he back heels it, he flicks it onto his arm. Referee correctly gives for a free kick.
At his best season for Real Madrid this season, with 31 goals, 20 in the domestic leagues, 21 in the domestic leagues and 10 in the Champions League. 24 now, Benzema, so he should be entering his prime, and certainly this has been built up as a big tournament for the Real Madrid striker, and he's yet to find the net. Did have that one chance early on where he cut in from the left and unleashed the right-footed shot. It was saved by Piatov in the Ukraine goal. So 0-0 with 2.5 minutes of the first half to go. We'll rejoin Mark Pugac in Kiev to start the build-up to the England match, which is going to kick off at 8 o'clock your time now because of the delay here for the electrical storm in Donetsk. Ukraine in possession with Mikulik, just short of the halfway line. Exchanges passes with Timoshuk, and then Mikulik plays the ball back to his goalkeeper Pyatov just inside the penalty area, and then Pyatov plays it to the Dynamo Kiev defender Taras Mikulik again. Nazarenko then back to the goalkeeper, and this time Pyatov hits it long. Mexes wins the header above Yarmolenko, and the ball rolls out of play for a throw-in on the right-hand side to Ukraine. For all of your concerns about Philip Mexes, he's done pretty well in the first half.
He's been excellent. He's won all his headers. He's been really aggressive, really strong. But of course, against Shevchenko, you don't really get that threat that he's going to run in behind, or even if he does, he's never quite going to run away from you. So Mexes, hats off, he's been excellent.
Nowhere near as much space is there for Ukraine tonight as we saw in Kiev. Here's Benzema, gets in behind Kacharini into the penalty area. Benzema forced wide by the Ukrainian defender. Then he turns and he's able to face Kacharini and cross into the middle, and it's cleared away from the edge of the 6-yard box by Timoshuk, I think it was, who was back there helping out his defenders. In fact, it might have been Selin, the left back, who was able to clear, but it was good play by Benzema. Now here's Nasri on the left hand side. Nasri moves in from the touchline into a more central area and finds Ribéry, who spins away from Husev. It's hard work tonight for the right back for Ukraine, trying to deal with Frank Ribéry. And now here's Nasri just outside the box, similar position from where he scored against England. This time he brings the right back Debuchy into play, and then Debuchy down the line to Menez. Menez forced to turn and then comes infield again. Decent run by the Paris Saint-Germain player. Now Diarra, and then Diarra to Ribéry. Everybody apart from Shevchenko is in the defensive position for Ukraine. Clichy on the left hand side to Ribéry again. Ribéry faced by Yarmolenko. Still Frank Ribéry just outside the penalty area. Runs across the face of that penalty area and then plays the ball out wide again. To Mathieu Debuchy, the right back, and then to Nasri. Nasri again towards Debuchy. Good challenge comes in from Selin, and his clearance hits Debuchy and will spin behind for a goal kick. That was organised defending by Ukraine.
Yeah, the approach play from France is good but not great. Yeah, and I just think that the Ukrainians keep coming across, clearing balls. It probably just lacks a little bit of tempo when France is in possession.
Quite slow and ponderous, aren't they, France?
Yeah.
Unless Ribéry's in possession.
I mean, the first game you kind of put it down to the weather conditions, and also I think they were quite happy to take a point against England, but I just expect a little bit more energy from them.
A minute of stoppage time to play at the end of this elongated first half. Menez, is that Menez who's just fouled Selin on the far side, and Menez has already been shown a yellow card, and Bjorn Kuipers has a decision to make here. And I think he's just going to say to Jeremy Menez, no more of those.
Well, I think the Ukrainian player, what they're saying, he was studs up, you know.
Is that one of those challenges, Jan, that we say, had he not been on a yellow card, he's got to be booked for that? I've just seen the replay. He's got to be booked for that, Menez, and France should be down to 10 men. That's the worst challenge. What's the worst challenge you've seen all night?
It is, absolutely. And there is no doubt whatsoever. You can't even dispute it.
It was high, studs up, and Jeremy Menez is an extremely lucky boy. The ball is with Husev, and then Yarmolenko forced to go back into his own half to Kacharini. By my watch, we've played a minute of additional time. The referees had a look at the watch, and they're still passing around that huge shirt on the far side, the big yellow Ukraine jersey, as Bjorn Kuipers finally blows his whistle to end the first half that started an awfully long time ago. Good chances though in that first period for France. 2 excellent saves by Pyatov. We saw Shevchenko force Loris into action, but really they should be finishing the first half, France, with 10 men. Menez had been booked and should have been booked for a studs-up challenge on Selin, but he got away with it. Jan Molby.
They probably should have been ahead, the French. They've been the better team, they've had the better chances. I still think there's more to come from them. The Ukrainian, all they can hope for at the moment is to hang in. They might get their moments, but they're not playing as well as they get against Sweden because they're up against better opposition. They're simply not getting the space and the time they did against Sweden.
They're going to make a change, Ukraine, and they've taken off Voronin, who was so influential, Jan, in the first match, the victory against Sweden, but he's not been afforded that kind of space in the match so far tonight. So Marko Devic, who came on late in that opening victory, the Methodist Kharkiv player, who does play wide for his club, he's on for this second half for Ukraine.
I'm not sure this is tactical though. I think something must have happened. He's either feeling unwell or he's injured. I don't think they'd have made that tactical substitution so early because of the way he played in the first game.
Okay, so this is the revised Ukraine lineup. Pyatov in goal. He was in excellent form in the first half. Then Husev, Kateridi, Mikulik and Selin, Timoshuk, Nazarenko and Devic, then Yarmolenko, Konoplyanka and Shevchenko. The French are unchanged. Loris the goalkeeper, Debuchy, Mexes, Rami and Clichy, Cabaye, Diarra and Nasri, Menez and Ribéry either side of Benzema. Menez shouldn't be on the field, should have got his second yellow card for a wild lunge on Selin right at the end of the first period, but he got away with it. Bjorn Kuipers didn't show him the yellow card again, and he stays on. Here's Ribéry at the byline for France, lifted into Menez, little back heel again towards Ribéry and stabbed away by Timoshuk. Picked up now on the right by Debuchy, and he wins France a corner on this right hand side. France in all navy, playing from left to right in this second half, all yellow for Ukraine, who are being roared on by a capacity crowd inside this Donbass arena in Donetsk, the site where England will play their final group match against Ukraine. You'll hear England-Sweden from 8 o'clock your time. Here's Nasri's corner, swung in towards Mexes, headed up into the air then by Kacheridi, and headed away from the edge of the penalty area as far as Debuchy on the right-hand side. Debuchy to Cabaye. Cabaye to Nasri. Nasri then flicks it forward up the right touchline to Menez, and then Menez pulls it back into the centre towards Franck Ribéry, and it's stabbed out of play for a throw-in 5 yards away for the corner flag on this right-hand side to France, and Mathieu Debuchy is forward to take it, gives it to Franck Ribéry, and then Debuchy gets it back again. Now here's Nasri to Ribéry, and then Nasri, and then stabbed in towards Menez, but cleared away by Selin from inside the penalty area out towards Shevchenko. And after 2 minutes of solid French pressure to start the second half, Ukraine can now have their first attack down the right-hand side. Played towards Shevchenko. The flag is up over there on the far side of the field, and it's going to result in a free kick in the left-back position to France. 0-0, Jan Molby.
Yeah, you just feel you're going to see an awful lot of that in the second half. The French in possession, the Ukrainians a long way away from the French goal. That's exactly what we saw there, trying to counter-attack, but they're just too far away from the French goal. Still, having said that, the French still need tempo, they need more movement.
Here's Ribéry in a central position, running along the halfway line. Challenge came in from Nazarenko. The ball played back then to Alou Diarra, and then Debuchy forward to Menez on this right-hand side. The inclusion of Menez tonight, apart from the 2 fouls in the first half, has been a really positive move by Laurent Blanc. He's offered so much more than Florent Malouda did against England in the opening game. Clichy on the left-hand side to Nasri, the 2 Manchester City players combined. Then Benzema forward into the penalty area to Menez. Menez around the challenge, angled shot saved again by Piatov. Another chance for Jeremy Menez, another chance for France, and another good save by Piatov for Ukraine.
Yeah, it was super play again by the French.
Here's Benzema now, central position, tried to prod it through to Debuchy. He might go himself, Benzema. In the end, he runs into Kacheridi, and now there's a counter-attack for Ukraine. And Nazarenko plays the ball out to the left-hand side to Shevchenko. He's going to run at Rami towards the penalty area. Still Shevchenko. Right foot shot, just wide. Shevchenko hit it so well, and with Loris flying across his goal, that was inches away.
Yeah, they haven't had much to shout about, the Ukrainians. This is their second opportunity. Shevchenko again, he comes inside. He hits this ever so well, and you think if it's on target, probably the goalkeeper won't quite get there. Just trying to deal with the French chance at the other end. Great ball in behind. Menez's pace takes him there. Goes to shoot, the defender goes to ground, takes it around the defender. Have to say, keepers having an inspired night, doing ever so well.
I get the impression, that both teams think they've got to win tonight. I get the impression Ukraine think that way, and certainly the French, who are pushing a lot of men forward at the start of this second half. I've just seen that Shevchenko shot on the replay, and it was a slight bit of curl at the end of the shot that just took it out from what would have been a sensational strike. Corner to France on the left-hand side. Samir Nasri across to take it. The tall figures of Rami and Diarra and Mexes on the edge of the penalty area. Piatov will punch the ball away. Should have caught it. Benzema is then beaten to the ball by Devic. Devic plays it back to Selin, and Selin through to Andriy Shevchenko. They certainly don't lack for confidence, this Ukraine team. They'll play their way out of trouble, and now Konoplyanka can set off on a charge. Flicks it out to Devic on the left-hand side. Infield to Timoshuk. They've got a man over. Timoshuk inside the penalty area. Goes for goal himself and hits it over. If Timoshuk gets that under control straight away, he can play Yarmolenko in, but he just couldn't gather it. And by the time he got the shot away, the angle was against him, and it was over the top of the bar.
I expect to see a lot more of that in the second half. The French in possession, Ukrainians trying to catch them on lightning quick, or at least the quickest they possibly can, counter-attacks.
Here comes Clichy down the left-hand side. It's a wide open start to this second half. 5 minutes gone, 0-0. You're listening to Five Live from the BBC. Our continued coverage of Euro 2012. We're covering the tennis at Queen's as well, and the US Open golf. We've got England, Sweden to come. 8 o'clock your time. Alan Green, Mike Ingham, Chris Waddle, Graham Taylor, Mark Pugach anchoring the coverage. And then 6:06 with Alan straight after that. 0500 909 693. Your chance to have your say on England's performance in Kiev against Sweden. And then the games keep coming thick and fast. 2 more tomorrow. Both kicking off at 7:45. Czech Republic against Poland and Russia. In fact, I'll get back to that in a minute. Here's Shevchenko into the penalty area, just muscled aside by Rami. He was just preparing to cross with Shevchenko, and he was just muscled aside by the French centre-back, and France can clear. Just notice, Jan, the humidity's creeping up again inside the stadium, and it's getting warmer, so much so that Oleg Blokhin has rolled up the tracksuit trouser bottom.
Absolutely, but again, it's that man Shevchenko, isn't it? Confidence from his goals in the first game. He tries to take the defender on the outside. Again, Rami in a one against one situation. Good defending.
0-0. Timoshuk on the halfway line for Ukraine. Just to confirm those matches tomorrow before we're so rudely interrupted by Shevchenko. Czech Republic against Poland in Wroclaw, and Greece against Russia in Warsaw. You'll hear one on 5 Live and one on Sports Extra. That's the way we'll do all of the deciding matches in the respective groups, bearing in mind they kick off at the same time. Lots of football though to go in this game here that's really boiling up nicely. Ukraine 0, France 0. Ukraine's turn to attack on the right with Yarmolenko. Rolled back to Husev, and then Husev's ball lacked the direction, and it's cleared away by France, and now Ribéry's got it on the left-hand side, and the fullback has gone forward, so Ribéry's got lots of space. Finds Benzema to Menez inside the penalty area. Menez on his left foot shoots and scores. Jeremy Menez preferred tonight to Florent Malouda with a big goal for France. Left-footed finish. Ukraine 0, France 1, and that's burst the bubble inside the Donbass arena.
They've simply been caught, Ukraine. They were on the attack, and the French left 4 up, and when Cabaye won the ball, he quickly changed the play up to Ribéry, and then off Ribéry went, took on Timoshuk. His teammate knew he could run away from him. His teammate at Bayern Munich, that is, knew he could run away from him. Played the ball into Benzema, and you then felt the French have got the Ukraine in problems. And the pass out to Menez, he then comes back inside on his left foot, shoots through the legs of the defender. No chance to goalkeeper.
And let's be honest, Jan, it's controversial because he shouldn't be on the field in the second half, Jeremy Menez, because he should have been shown a second yellow by Bjorn Kuipers just before half-time, and now he's got the goal.
How did he not start the first game ahead of Malouda?
I have no idea.
Neither have I.
It looks a no-brainer, doesn't it, when you see what he's given tonight? He's been France's best player, hasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's a real sharp player. I know he's not a great goal scorer. He's a real creator, isn't it? But he looks a handful.
Well, that starts to put a different complexion on Group D. At the moment, France would have 4 points from 2 matches, Ukraine 3, and of course Sweden have nothing and England 1, and they're due to meet 8 o'clock your time, just over 50 minutes away from the kickoff on 5 Live. You can watch the game on BBC television, but if you do that, make sure you press the red button and listen to Alan and Mike and Chris and Graham and get the very best coverage on 5 Live. 1-0 here to France in Donetsk. How can Ukraine respond? They went a goal down against Sweden in the first match, but Shevchenko popped up with 2 quick goals. Let's see if they can do something similar again. It certainly makes their mind up now. They've maybe got to be a bit more expansive than they have been in the game. Here is Shevchenko to Devic on the left-hand side. Shevchenko tackled, Rami brings it away, and then he's just caught by Celine, and that's going to be a free kick midway inside their own half to France, and a yellow card for the left back for Ukraine.
Yeah, there's only one way to play now for Ukraine, isn't it? They have to have a go. They have to commit more people forward. Having said that, I just have a feeling that'll play into the French hands. They're very strong on the counter-attack. Tomorrow
night it will be Czech Republic against Poland on 5 Live, and Greece against Russia on Sports Extra. Both of those kicking off 7:45 your time. Here come France down the left with Franck Ribéry. Runs out of room but does prevent the goal kick. Keeps Ukraine penned in with a throw-in, yard away from the corner flag on the right-hand side.
Does not play as well for France as for Bayern Munich, but he's had his moments. Franck Ribéry. Involved in the goal, heavily involved. A good run down the left, good pass inside for Benzema.
I wonder how much Ukraine will miss the intelligence of Voronin now they're chasing the game, yeah.
Yeah, they missed him in the first half because he couldn't get into the game, and I just wonder whether he's injured or feeling unwell, but they'll miss him from now on in, that's for sure. But they've got to be careful, they've got to keep that balance in midfield so they don't get overrun.
Here's Menez, the goal scorer, out towards Debussy, midway inside the Ukraine half on the right-hand side. It's much quieter now inside the Donbass arena. That's deflated the Ukraine supporters, and here's Cabaye with a shot, and Cabaye doubles France's lead. Good finish by the man from Newcastle, and France heading for their first win of Euro 2012. Cabaye with the second goal. Ukraine 0, France 2.
Now you can't take a lot away from France in their first goal, but the second goal is about the weaknesses that we spoke about. The two central defenders, where are they? I mean, if that is Benzema in there scoring that goal, yes, but it's Cabaye, a holding midfield player. Benzema creates a chance, plays the ball into Cabaye's feet. How he gets so free, I'll never know. He takes it on his left foot, rolls it into the bottom corner, 2-0, and you fear game over.
Well, you fear, don't you, slightly, for France running up the score, because they're a deflated bunch now, Ukraine. The supporters are all slumped in their seats. The pocket of France fans on the far side are trying to make themselves heard, but there's not enough of them to make a difference. France have now got that comfort of a 2-goal lead given to them by Menez and Cabaye, 2 goals in 3 minutes. And it's a similar effect on Ukraine than Sweden felt the other night when Shevchenko hit them twice quickly.
I think you're absolutely right, and that was the difference. When against Sweden they came back very quickly, which kept the energy in the stadium up. This time the French have gone, and as I said before, I think they've gone and won the game.
Here's Nasri to Karim Benzema inside the centre circle. France at the moment playing with lots and lots of confidence. Here's Nasri just outside the penalty area. France are coming forward looking for a third here. Nasri feeds the ball out to Debussy, plenty of navy shirts in the middle, crossed in towards Benzema, too high, and it won't be kept in play on the far side by Clichy. The ball has gone out for a throw-in. Jan Molby.
It's going to be hard now for the Ukrainians, because now they can play their possession football, France, without having to go and look for that goal, and they're very, very good at that, technically very good players, but they've also got real pace on the counter-attack.
And they've also made that key tactical switch, removing Malouda, the pedestrian Malouda, from the first match against England, and injecting the pace and the inventiveness of Menez on the right hand side, who gives them natural width and allows Nasri to roam. And also he's popped up in some very advanced positions, should have scored in the first half and has scored following the restart in the second. We played 58 minutes, England-Sweden to come, just over 3/4 of an hour away from the kick-off in Kiev, but here it's France with a 2-goal cushion against Ukraine in suddenly a very quiet Donbass arena.
Yeah, I think they're just a little deflated, aren't they, Ukraine? But they'll know. They still have a game. It's very much alive. They've got to try and lift themselves. Having said that, this is not over yet. But I just think it's going to take a superhuman effort for them to get back into this, because the French have been very impressive. They found the moments. They've picked them off at will. They should have scored once or twice in the first half. They've been very good.
They look more like the team that came into the tournament as dark horses to win it, don't they? Yeah, absolutely.
This is what we're seeing today.
And Blanc did say, didn't he, I can't believe where the French team was, that there has been 20 odd matches unbeaten. No. He was disappointed, wasn't he, in the way they played against England.
And we're getting a clearer picture here this evening, and I still think there's more to come. Just coming back to Menez, I'd actually take him off now. You know, he's scored, he's been booked. I wouldn't run the risk.
Throw in for Ukraine. Shevchenko will spin away from Rabi, but Mexes is in behind him to whack it out of play on the volley for a throw in on the left hand side. Oleg Blokin's going to make a second change. He's going to send on the Dynamo Kiev striker Artem Milevsky, who came on as a late substitute when Shevchenko exited to a standing ovation against Sweden the other night. So he is going to send on a striker, Blokin. But as Jan says, even if they lose tonight, they'll go into the match against England knowing they'll still be able to qualify for the knockout stages. They probably exceeded expectations anyway, the co-hosts, by winning the first match, because they came in with no sort of form. They came in with divisions in the camp between the Shakhtar players and the Dynamo Kiev players. They galvanised themselves with that win against the French, and they're still going to be in it come the final match. And it's not a surprising change. Blokin is taking off one of his defensive midfield players, Nazarenko, and sending on the big, tall, muscular striker from Dynamo Kiev, Artem Milevsky.
Yeah, he's going to play now down the middle, isn't he, as a bit of a target man. I still think he'll have his work cut out against those two very impressive French centre-halves. But just going back to the group as a whole, I mean, England and Sweden could still draw, couldn't they? Which would still put Ukraine in a very strong position.
Here's Timoshuk for Ukraine, of course, with a 2-0 lead. A goal back for the opposition can really change the play, because it's often a tenuous lead, isn't it? 2-0, but they've got to get the next goal, Ukraine. Yarmolenko runs forward, good run as well. Will they get a corner? No, they won't. Good defending by France. In the end, it's tidied up by Clichy and played away as far as Timoshuk on the far side, and he can play it all the way back to his goalkeeper, Piatov. There's certainly enough invention and creative players in the Ukraine team, Jan, if they can.
But we haven't seen them tonight.
Not tonight.
No, if you're looking and you're thinking, well, our better players are in the game, you've got a chance, but they're not. They haven't been allowed into the game, so you're kind of looking at the two wide men who are only two youngsters, and you're thinking, where are they going to find it from to lift this game? Voronin has gone off. Shevchenko is kind of what he did in the first half against Sweden, playing off memory. So it's very, very hard to see them getting back into it.
Konoplyanka's had no change at all out of Debussy, who's had another very accomplished game at right back for France. Here's Shevchenko, the man who can change the balance of a game in a minute, but that's given away. And it's given away to the dangerous Samir Nasri, who can run across the halfway line and take on Michalik. Ribéry to his left, Benzema in the centre. Menez is just unmarked on the right edge of the box if they can find him. Selin might have noticed him now. Ribéry gives the ball to Benzema. Benzema with a low shot from just outside the D, which is saved by Piatov.
He's actually the only kind of problem they got, the French, at the moment. It's maybe wrong to say it's a problem in it, but he's not playing to his level. When he plays for Real Madrid, he's much better. He plays much more on the shoulders of the defenders. He's much more of a goal threat. Here he keeps coming deep. He's not really dangerous.
Ukraine attacking, not really with any kind of fluidity now. Yarmolenko just played a lazy pass infield to Timoshuk, and he hit a forward ball then straight through to Loris. They need someone out there, don't they, in a yellow shirt, to just get them together and just remind them that they can still get back into the match, because they look a beaten bunch at the moment, Ukraine.
I think the whole stadium is beaten, aren't they? You know, and I just think that this is what they feared. This is what they saw the 2 years leading up to this competition, this kind of performance. Having said that, this is against one of the better teams in the competition.
Here's Ribéry just outside the Ukraine penalty area, runs away from Michalik, stabbed away and out and behind for a corner by Husev, and it'll be a France ball on the left hand side, and Nasri will jog across to take the corner. Alou Diarra will make his way into the penalty area, and so will Mexes, but I think they'll keep Rami back in a defensive position now with this 2-goal lead to defend. The French fans in their dark shirts on the far side, the navy shirts, waving their French flags and bouncing up and down. They're enjoying this now. A corner taken short by Nasri to Menez, and then Menez back to Ribéry on the left hand side. Ribéry to Nasri. Nasri moves back out towards the far touchline and gives it to Menez again, and then to Nasri, who can prompt and probe and find Frank Ribéry. Ribéry tried to play the ball through to Nasri. It breaks down following the challenge by Milevski, and now Yarmolenko can run forward towards the halfway line. He's tackled by Cabaye, and it's out for a throw to Ukraine inside the French half.
Yeah, he does a good job, Johnny Cabaye. I don't think he's top draw, but I think he's a good player. He knows the game. He knows where to be on the pitch in any given situation. He knows how to influence games. He's got himself a goal, a very important goal this evening.
I think he's an important cog in this French team, isn't he? Because he's prepared to sit back and be disciplined and allow Nasri to wander around. That's a good ball through towards Benzema, but just slightly overhit. And Piatov read it well and picked the ball up on the edge of the penalty area.
But let's not also forget, and we spoke about Benzema before, and I feel if you've got to win in competition, you've got to have a striker who's scoring your goals. But they've also got a man warming up now who's probably their best holding midfield player.
Jan Mvila, who missed the first match with a sprained ankle. We did expect him to start today, but he was left out by Laurent Blanc, although as Jan Molby said, he's now warming up down the near side touchline. In the meantime, here come France again with Menez. Benzema takes over, ball on his left foot, left the ball behind. Has time to go back and fetch it again and give it Nasri in towards Benzema, headed away by Husev and then cleared away by Michalik to Yarmolenko.
It appears like the French are now desperate for Benzema to get a goal, aren't they? They're trying to look after him.
I think they can smell blood, the French, at the moment. Constantly attacking this Ukraine penalty area. The Ukraine body language isn't good. Drooped shoulders and no real spring about their work. Here's Benzema to Frank Ribéry and then Jeremy Menez. Debussy's a man over on this near side, but they can't find him with the ball. Cabaye then plays it to Nasri. Nasri into the penalty area. Still Samir Nasri. Lots of yellow shirts in his path. Benzema to Ribéry. And then Ribéry to Clichy. They're toying with Ukraine now of France, playing with so much more belief and confidence following the 2 quick goals. Nasri, listen to the jeers inside the stadium because Ukraine can't get the ball. Cabaye, edge of the penalty area to Menez. Shot nice at the post. Cabaye hit it from the edge of the penalty penalty area. It was deflected onto the post, pulled back then by Menez towards Benzema and cleared away by Ukraine. He could do nothing about that, Piatov. The deflection took him out of the game and it hit the woodwork, Jan.
That was a fantastic strike, wasn't it? I mean, it was great play. I don't know how many passes. They must have had 40 or 50 passes, toying with the opposition. Kabay gets a chance on the half volley, hits the inside of the post.
Good run into the penalty area though by Devic. Devic still inside the France box. He's still got the ball. Tried to pick out Shevchenko in the middle, blocked by the leg of Diarra, and behind for a corner to Ukraine. They were trying to suck that ball in, the Ukraine supporters.
Yeah, I just hope they weren't booing their own team before. I mean, they're doing their best. Let's not forget this is a top-class opposition they're against this evening.
They're going to take the corner short, I think. Conor Plianka will play the ball to Devic. Devic can run into the penalty area, pull it back as well, only to a French shirt, where it's steered away from the edge of the penalty area by Debuchy. And then Menez will give the ball to Ribéry, and then back to Menez. Menez towards Frank Ribéry, too straight the pass. Laurent Blanc not happy with that. And the ball is through to Piatov, the goalkeeper. So stretched, isn't it, the game now? You've got 6 or 7 Frenchmen just outside their own penalty area and 4 or 5 Ukrainians at the other end.
But it suits the French, doesn't it? They can keep the back 4 and the 2 holding midfield players back, and then they've got the 4 attackers. They can go and take on the Ukrainians, who are now gambling to try and get back into this match.
Yarmolenko's won his side a corner on the right-hand side. And we're just going to see that shot by Kabay again. In fact, it wasn't deflected. It went straight off the outside of the foot onto the outside of the post.
Half volley on a beautiful
fantastic strike, wasn't it?
It's a great strike of a football, Kabay. 2-footed. Very good player.
We've seen him in the Premier League strike some fantastic goals for Newcastle. He's got one tonight along with Jeremy Menez. 24 minutes to go and the French are leading Ukraine 2-0. Here's the corner. Terrible ball. Easily steered away by Karim Benzema, who was guarding that near post for France.
All the things that came off in the first game is just not happening. Set piece deliveries are hitting the first man. Passes is not coming off. Shevchenko's had a couple of efforts on another day. Might have had himself a goal.
Another one of the Ukraine Dynamo Kiev players is going to come on. Alexander Aliev is going to be sent on in a second. Here's Shevchenko in the meantime. And now it's with Devic on the left edge of the penalty area. Pulled back, here's a chance. Yarmolenko's shot took a deflection. Has it gone wide? It has. Is it going to be a corner? I think the flag is up on the far side. Flag up. But they are all of a sudden finding 1 or 2 decent areas around that French penalty area.
But there's a lot of French back, isn't there?
There are,
and there's a lot of French who know their job. They're doing their job, aren't they? They're getting blocks in and they're just not allowing the Ukrainians anywhere near their goal.
And Veer is going to be coming on for Kabay. Yann Veer from Rennes, the 21-year-old defensive midfield player. Really looking forward to seeing him at Euro 2012. So that's the first change for the French. And for Ukraine, they're going to take off one of their wingers. They'll take off Yarmolenko, who was so influential in the first game against Sweden, providing the crosses for the Shevchenko headers. And Aliev, who's an attacking midfield player from Dynamo Kiev, is coming on for the last 22 and a half minutes. Remember, we are just over 36 or 37 minutes away from kick-off in Kiev. The England game pushed back until 8 o'clock because of the electrical storm here that led to a delay in the match between Ukraine and France. England against Sweden kicks off at 8. Alan Green, Mike Ingham, Chris Waddle, your commentary team. The thoughts of Graham Taylor as well. And then 6:06 straight after with Alan Green as well to have your say. 0500 909 693. France leading 2-0. Excellent ball by Benzema. Menez just didn't quite have the pace to latch onto it. And Piatov is able to tidy things up from the edge of his penalty area. Diarra to Debuchy. Debuchy heads it forward. Hacked out of play. That might land in our commentary position. Just hit the table in front. I was thinking there Jan Mulvey might bring it down on the thigh, cushion volley it back to Debuchy for the throw.
Well, that was the plan.
He never got the chance.
He just never made it up here, did it?
Never got the chance.
I was just looking who did that headed it back.
It hit the table.
Yeah.
It wasn't headed back. But the fella in front who would have headed it, both of them are wearing glasses, so they would have come off if they'd have headed that. Certainly didn't head that. The pitch is held up remarkably well after all of the water that it took on during that extremely heavy rainstorm here in Donetsk. France, who didn't seem, in terms of their body language, that they were too happy to restart, but they've been the better team throughout, and they lead 2-0 with those 2 second-half goals in 3 minutes from Jeremy Menez and Yohan Kabay. I'm sure that Oleg Blokhin will have something to say about the Menez challenge on the stroke of half-time that should have seen him sent off. And I said to you at half-time, he's bound to score now. It always happens that way, doesn't it?
But he's been very influential, hasn't
yes,
he? Scored a goal that was disallowed. Should have scored another one. Got himself a goal in the second half. Should have been also sent off, but he's a handful. He's a handful, that's for sure.
Still lots of time to go, though. A Ukraine goal would change an awful lot. 21 minutes to play. Headed down by Aliev on the far side, but then given away by Husev. He's had the confidence drained out of him with every Frank Ribéry run at him during the course of this match. Nasri plays the ball out towards Menez on the near side, who just keeps it in play. Tiptoes along the touchline and then clips it infield to Benzema. Benzema rolls away from Michalik and then is tackled by Aliev. Played forward then towards Milevski. And then Aliev wins another challenge. Devic now inside the French half, gets away from Diarra. Good run by Devic, he's still going. Milevski to Shevchenko with him. He went for glory with the left foot. And he pulled it and he didn't strike it particularly cleanly. And it was well wide, and Shevchenko just stares at him as much to say, why don't you play me in?
Yeah, but we got young players just come on, is he getting overexcited, and I think he's done alright. He's shown one or two touches, he's got involved, he runs through from the halfway line. He was never going to pass that.
He was thinking about the goal that he was going to play time and time again on DVD to the grandkids, wasn't he?
Yeah, I'll just stick to PlayStation instead.
And in the end he got the daggers from Andriy Shevchenko for his trouble. So 2-0 France lead on 5 Live with 19 minutes to go. And France have got the ball on the left-hand side with Benzema. Runs into the penalty area, gives it to Ribéry. Ribéry sees Menez in space on the far side, but Ribéry's fouled just outside the D. And it's going to be a free kick to the French in a very dangerous position. And they're going to make another change. They're going to send on Marvin Martin, who scored in this stadium in that 4-1 win last November. And he's going to be the next change made by Laurent Blanc with 19 minutes to go.
I think it's again a case of resting one of his star men. Ribéry, Nasri, Benzema, they're the three round the ball as well for this free kick. I'm sure they'll all fancy it.
That game against Ukraine here was Marvin Martin's debut, and he scored twice against Ukraine in the stadium, the Sochaux midfielder. The ball has been placed by Ribéry, but Benzema and Nasri are also in the vicinity for the French. It's literally a yard or so outside the D, left of centre. There's a 6 or 7 man Ukrainian wall which is stood almost bisecting the penalty spot inside Piatov's penalty area. It's Ribéry's free kick with power just over the top of the bar. Hit it well, Ribéry, but couldn't quite get the ball to dip at the end.
It was a typical one of those, wasn't it? It doesn't really matter. I also think that the French team as such didn't really take any interest. There was 2 of them standing on the halfway line having a little chat, and it was just a case of if he can stick this in the top corner, great. But it just went wide.
You see, you're wasted. You shouldn't be sat here with me. You should be preparing a team in the Premier League for pre-season. You said take off Jeremy Menez. That's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to send on Marvin Martin.
Yeah, but I can also tell you something now.
What's that?
He'll start the next game, that's for sure, Menez.
Oh yeah, well, yeah.
It's not the last thing we've seen of him.
No, you didn't need to be Mystic Meg to work that one out, did
Thank you?
You should give Michael Laudrup a ring, you could help him with knowledge like that.
Anyway, Nasri's gone on the right and Martin in the middle.
And Villa is on there as well for France, remember. 17 minutes to go.
That's what you got when you got good squads, isn't it? Options.
Absolutely. It's the problem Ukraine have got, isn't it? They've got a starting 11, and when things started to go awry tonight, there wasn't really a player to send on who could change anything for them. Clipped forward by Michalik, out towards the far side, and Husev, who's not been able to get forward at all. Crossed in towards Shevchenko, and it travelled a long way and was then plucked out of the air by Loris on the edge of the 6-yard box, just in front of Milevski. And now France want to come forward quickly with Benzema on this right-hand side, infield towards Nasri, intercepted by Michalik and played back to Aliev. And now Aliev can cross the halfway line. You would feel the French legs might be starting to tire a little bit, just like those from Ukraine, so maybe there is still a chance for the co-hosts if they can try and regain a bit of confidence and certainly get more possession inside the French half. It's with Michalik at the moment on the halfway line, and then out towards the far side of the field to Devic, and then Devic back to Husev. Now Devic once more on the right-hand touchline. Infield it goes to Shevchenko. Shevchenko's ball to Devic is blocked. It's picked up then by Husev, and then back to the Ukrainian captain, who can play it back into his own half to Michalik. They've been very solid tonight, France, as well, haven't they? As well as the invention, they've been well organised and defensively sound too.
I think sometimes we criticise teams who go with 2 holding midfield players, but I think when one of them is Kabay, to me he's an all-round midfield player, and I think you've got to get away with it. When he has to sit, he sits. When he can join in, he does, and I think it works well for him. Very
intelligent, isn't he? Diarra is the stereotypical holder. He's just broken up another Ukrainian attack, and then Mvila gets his first touch of the ball. and plays it out to Ribéry on the left-hand side. Ribéry tackled and Villa picks up the loose ball, and then played forward by Martin towards Nasri. Nasri challenged by Cacciarini. Ball now with Diarra inside the centre circle. Half an hour gone in the second half, 15 minutes to go, and France leading by 2-0. And we're going to see Olivier Giroud, the player that's been linked with a move to Arsenal, the big, tall, 6'3" target man from the French champions Montpellier, and he's going to come on for Karim Benzema. So as hard as France tried to get him a goal, Jan, it's going to be another scoreless night for Karim Benzema.
Yeah, I just think the player we see play for Real Madrid is not the player we've seen here in almost 2 games playing for France. Spends no time in the penalty area, seems for some reason short of confidence. He's not happy coming off either, I don't know why.
No.
Listen, he can have no complaints. He's been average at best. Interesting to see this boy, Giroud. He'll be a different player. He will be in that penalty area, there's no doubt about that.
We may well see him in the Premier League with Arsenal next season. Got 21 goals as Montpellier won the French League this year, so he's certainly a striker in form. I think Benzema has just set the record for it, taking the substitute
the longest
period of time to get off. He took fairy steps, didn't he? Getting ready for England against Sweden. Less than half an hour to the kick-off. We'll be in Kiev with Alan and Mike and Chris and Graham. And then we'll have 606 0500 909 693. So don't go anywhere. Stay with us tonight on 5 Live from the BBC. Ukraine 0, France 2. But Ukraine have got a corner on the right-hand side. And with this kind of crowd inside the stadium, Ukraine certainly aren't going to give up the fight. The substitute, Aliyev's gone across to take it. Whips it into the middle. Headed away from the edge of the penalty 6-yard box by Clichy, and out for a throw-in to Ukraine midway inside the French half on the right-hand side. The corner taker Aliyev will take it, but there's no yellow shirt readily available. Milevsky arrives, controls, plays it back out towards Aliyev on the far touchline, and then Aliyev to Husev, 10 yards inside the French half on the right to Timoshuk, but it didn't get there. It's intercepted by Martin, who then receives the return ball from Ribéry. A challenge comes in from Timoshuk, the Bayern Munich player, and it's out for a throw to France midway inside the Ukraine half on the left.
Yeah, I just think that France had a good look at the Ukrainians in the first game, found their weaknesses and their strength, and they coped well with their strength and really exploited their weaknesses.
It's going to be interesting to see whether the Ukrainians can regather themselves and give a good display against England in the final match. The French at the moment looking very confident and very accomplished. They're going to extend this unbeaten run to 23 international matches. They've not lost a game since Belarus beat them early in the qualifying campaign in September 2010. Laurent Blanc has made quite a few changes from that disjointed group that went to South Africa. 1 or 2 players have been jettisoned. Some young players have come in, and there's a better feel about this French camp these days. There's Nasri, who certainly plays a big role for them in this free role almost in the French team. The ball back now with Lloris. Just shows how Laurent Blanc wanted to get things right. I think he tried 5 different captains before he settled on Hugo Lloris, the Lyon goalkeeper. He's been very methodical, Laurent Blanc, in the way he's gone about his business as the French manager, and it's certainly paid dividends for him. Here's Nasri, right edge of the penalty area. France hunting a third goal, a killer goal. They might not even need a third goal because Lloris has had very little to do in the French goal in this second half. But here come Ukraine down the left-hand side with little Konoplyanka. Konoplyanka is fouled by Debuchy, and that's going to be an unnecessary yellow card for Mathieu Debuchy. Let's update the US Open golf in San Francisco. Here's Russell Fuller.
And having made a 10-foot putt for a bogey at the first, Graham McDowell has cancelled out the damage by making a birdie at the third. He's back to 2 under par. He's in second place in the US Open, 2 behind the leader Michael Thompson.
Thanks, Russell. Continuous coverage from Russell and the team from Olympic Park in San Francisco, and right through the weekend on 5 Live, as Ukraine try and mount an attack on the right hand side, needing 2 goals inside the last 12 minutes to salvage something from this match in Donetsk, but they're not going to do it that way. Shevchenko played the ball out to Aliyev, and he allowed the ball to roll under his foot and out for a French throw on the left. It's the first match I've seen in the tournament, Jan, that's threatening to peter out, shall we say.
Absolutely, it's the only way to describe the action at the moment. French way too strong. You'd expect maybe a bit of fight from the Ukrainians, but they can't get in the match.
They've just not been good enough, have they?
No, they haven't been
sometimes
good enough.
You can boil it down tactically, but man for man tonight, France have been distinctly superior in every facet of play. Here's Giroud, and now Martin surrounded by yellow shirted Ukrainian players. Ball back out with Clichy on the left-hand side, and then Clichy back to Loris. It really was a hammer blow to the Ukrainian confidence when they conceded 2 goals in a 3-minute spell. That left-footed finish by Menez, and then the goal shortly after by Cabaye. And France have been in complete control of the match ever since, and they're in possession again now with Ribéry on the left-hand side. Giroud just outside the box. Ribéry once more, back to the tall figure of Giroud, who hits a woeful left-footed shot 15 yards wide of the goal.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to pay 12 million for that, would you? But he's obviously got something, Annie, and I think there's a position up for grabs.
They've kept the ball, by the way. They've kept the ball.
The fans?
Yeah, they've kept the ball. There's a fellow with a big bushy moustache.
Souvenir.
Who's just put it underneath his seat and then held his hands out as much to say, what am I supposed to do? So he's got a souvenir of the day, the Ukrainian fan behind Piatov's goal. And Konoplyanka's got the possession midway inside the France half. Neat back heel to Aliev. Through towards Milevsky. Challenged by Mexes. Is that going to be a foul? It is. It's going to be a free kick to Ukraine on the edge of the D. A lunging challenge. And a yellow card for Mexes, and a shooting position for Ukraine, Jan Molby.
Yeah, most definitely will be. I think Mexes feels he got the ball. He didn't. And what are we talking here? 19 yards.
Yep.
Almost central. Shevchenko, it's a case of rolling back the years again.
Maybe that was the problem. The old ball didn't suit Ukraine. They've looked quite lively since they changed.
Do you think that fan knew?
He knew.
He said the boys are not enjoying this one.
He knew, absolutely. Mexes with a grimace on his face. Loris is now organising the French wall, which will have to move back from where it is. Bjorn Kuipers is marching it back at least 4 yards, maybe 5. And he's going to make sure the wall is back in the required position. The problem here for Shevchenko is it's extremely central, isn't it?
Yeah, he's not happy.
It's not going to be Shevchenko.
He's not happy, actually.
Away. No.
He didn't look happy. I think he wanted to take that. I think the boys are probably going, well, we got one from the training ground we want to try. Timoshuk is still telling Shevchenko.
Aliev's over the ball.
Aliev is going to probably take this one.
Aliev is striding back purposefully. Timoshuk is also in the vicinity. Shevchenko has joined the French wall. Here's the shot by Aliev. He got it up but couldn't get it down, and the ball sails harmlessly over the crossbar of Hugo Lloris's goal. A wasted opportunity for Ukraine.
We tried to build that up.
We did.
But that was a pathetic effort.
It was. Nearly as bad as Giroud's at the other end. They say, he's the French Andy Carroll. I'm not sure whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. There's a lady crying in the crowd as well. We've just seen her on the big screen. She was crying before the free kick was taken, and she's uncontrollable since it's been missed.
Maybe she knew something we didn't know.
Possibly. She possibly knows how hard it's going to be to get away from this stadium after the match now it's been delayed. Don't forget, England against Sweden to come. Just over 20 minutes from the kickoff in Kiev. Now don't miss it on 5 Live tonight. Here's Nasri for France on the right-hand side. France have certainly laid down a marker and made their intentions clear now in Group D. Good run down the right by Nasri to the byline, inside the penalty area. Gives it to Ribéry, crossed in towards Giroud. A little bit too high for the big tall striker, and it'll be kept in play on the left-hand side by Mvila. Mvila level with the edge of the Ukraine penalty area. Competition for places, you feel, is going to be extremely fierce in this French team as the tournament wears on, just like it is for Germany and Spain, because they've got so much depth in the squad. Here's Debuchy on the right in front of Laurent Blanc, who's taken the jacket off. He's got the white shirt on and the grey trousers, and the ball is with Franck Ribéry to Giroud, and then back to Ribéry. Didn't quite take the ball with him. Nasri will pick it up, right edge of the penalty area, lifted in too high again for Giroud. How can you miss a player 6'3"? They've done it twice, and Villa hits the drive, and that's over the top of the bar.
It's just a little training session now for the French, moving the ball from side to side, putting in crosses, taking shots from distance. It's oh so easy.
7 minutes to go. Ukraine 0, France 2 on 5 Live. And the ball is back with the goalkeeper Piatov away to our right hand side. Plays the ball out to his centre back Mikulik, who's midway inside his own half. Husev not making himself readily available. We didn't see that against the Swedes, where everybody wanted a touch, but there are 1 or 2 players now, Jan, in Ukrainian shirts just hiding a little bit.
Yeah, unfortunate. But it's what we feared, wasn't it, once they come up against the better nations, but they might just be a little short in certain areas.
There's belief in the stadium when this man gets the ball. Shevchenko out towards Devic on the right hand side. Devic caught by Clichy. That's going to be a free kick to Ukraine. Crossing position on the right, about 5 yards in from the touchline. And it's an opportunity for them to send a bit of height into the penalty area. Mikulik is certainly going to go forward. You'd be surprised if Kacheridi doesn't go up there as well, although at the moment he's looking at the Ukraine bench and has decided to stay back. So the tallest man in the Ukrainian team is actually in a defensive position.
What are they trying to defend?
Here's the free kick whipped in from the right. Dangerous, fisted away by Loris under pressure. Controlled on the chin by Timoshuk after an awkward bounce. Picked up now by Konoplyanka. Hits the shot, takes a deflection, spins through, and Loris able to catch the ball in front of Devic. Might have been interesting, that strike from Konoplyanka, if it hadn't took the deflection on the way through. Lots of power.
It did. Just looking at the French, I think the benchmark at this tournament is the Germans and the Spanish. I think they proved tonight. I still think there's more in them. We said that at half time. We felt there was more in them. They showed that in the second half. I still think there's more in them.
If things go their way, you can see them going deep in the tournament, can't you?
A good team.
Here they come with Ribéry on the left-hand side. He's tackled though, and Aliyev then beaten to the ball by Mvila, and then played forward down the left-hand side to Martin, another one of the substitutes. Back to Clichy, and then Mvila again, who's got Diarra square of him inside the centre circle. Those two exchange passes, and then Mvila can thread the ball out to Debuchy on the right. 3 blue shirts in the middle. Again the cross is too deep. Again the target man in the centre was Giroud, and again we didn't see the required quality from France, but they kept the ball in play. And it's on the far side of the field with Ribéry, and then Martin, and then Ribéry again. Infield to Martin once more. Short and diminutive, but lots of skill. Just like this man Ribéry. Martin is fouled then just outside the penalty area, and that's going to be a free kick to France and a yellow card for Anatoly Timoshuk, who gets a harsh word from his Bayern Munich teammate Ribéry for his trouble as well.
No, I think he's been waiting for one of those, doesn't he? I think he's been real frustrated, and he was waiting just to do that. He's just dived in 2-footed, totally unnecessary. Correct decision, free kick and a booking.
I think the big issue now for Oleg Blokhin is he's got to lift these players before this final group game against England, because they look a sorry bunch now.
Absolutely, and that's why he's now praying for the reaction at the end of the match from the fans. I think that's very important for them.
Free kick to France then, yard outside the penalty area on the left-hand side. Samir Nasri stands with his hands on his hips, whips the ball in towards Piatov's goal, and he's forced to tip that round from the near post to behind for a French corner.
He couldn't really do anything with the 2 goals to goalkeeper. Apart from that, he's made a couple of top-class saves. He's done well.
Corner taken short to Ribéry, and then Nasri. Ribéry once more, didn't really get the ball because Martin's pass lacked the accuracy, and then he's committed a foul on the far side, the French sub, and it's going to be a free kick in the right back position to Ukraine, which is taken quickly down the line to Devic, and then infield to Aliyev, and then to Timoshuk. Timoshuk just outside his own penalty area, plays it square to Kacharidi, and with 3 minutes to play, Ukraine have got to get the ball forward quicker than they are doing, but there's just not an option for a man in a yellow shirt. It's a completely different display, completely different outcome than what we saw in Kiev for the first match in this group when Ukraine were able to beat the Swedes. Here's Shevchenko down the left-hand side. Couple of first-half chances for him and no more today. Devic on the left-hand side, faced by Debuchy. Rolled back to Konoplyanka, who shoots inside the penalty area and hits his shot that inaccurately. It's gone out for a throw-in on the opposite side of the field. It came totally off the outside of the right boot and never threatened Loris's goal. Mulby.
Technically it doesn't count as a shot, does it, if it goes out for the throw-in, but I think that sums it up, doesn't it? It's lacked everything tonight. All the things we spoke about in the first game, they've lacked tonight.
Is that the official way to rate that? Doesn't count as a shot if it goes out for a throw, is that right?
Yeah.
Does it go in the missed place pass category or something?
Yeah, another one.
Yeah. Been a few of those for Ukraine tonight. It's actually, we've been talking all night, haven't we, about what the best result for England would be. Depending on the fact England beat Sweden in the match you're about to hear on 5 Live in about 16 minutes' time. But the fact that France have won and Ukraine have been almost hammered into submission by them is good for England.
Yeah, I think so. The fears you would have had after the first game when they played with a lot of confidence and you thought, well, the wide man can maybe cause 1 or 2 problems. I think you've seen tonight against the better teams. The problem is that England don't have the same attacking qualities as the French.
Free kick to Ukraine, yard short of halfway. Konoplyanka takes it back to Selin, and then Selin to Timoshuk, who's almost playing as a third central defender in a back 5 now for some reason. He's just whacked the ball out of play for a throw-in on the far side. This game can't end soon enough, can it?
No, that's
Ukraine?
right, but I think Timoshuk just wants to be seen to be involved, the fact that he cares and he's trying to lift his teammates, but he's not that type of player either. He's not going to lift anything. The better players, Voronin, who unfortunately had to come off at half-time, Shevchenko, the 2 wide men, have just not delivered like they did against the Swedes.
We'll be off to Kiev after stoppage time in this match. for England against Sweden, with Alan Green, Mike Ingham, Chris Waddle and Graham Taylor. Mark Pugac will be leading our team. And then 6:06 after that, 0500 909 693. Your chance to have a chat with Alan about what you see from England today. And let's keep our fingers crossed for an England win against Sweden. Ukraine in possession, just outside their own penalty area with Mikulik. Out towards the far side of the field. Now, there's nowhere to go though, Jan. They can't actually get out their own half, Ukraine, at the moment.
No, they can't.
Nothing happening for them whatsoever.
There's a reason, isn't it? Their centre halves have had the ball an awful lot in this second half, and their distribution is just not quite. To be fair, neither are their defensive qualities, so it's a problem.
A further 3 minutes of torture for the Ukrainian supporters inside the Donbass Arena in Donetsk. 1 or 2 already starting to head for the exits. 3 minutes of additional time to play. A very comfortable afternoon's work for France, who have stated their intentions at Euro 2012 after that opening game draw against England. They've won this comfortably today with those 2 quick goals in the second half from Menez on 53 and Cabaye on 56, although you wonder how different the game might have been had Bjorn Kuipers shown that second yellow card to Menez on the stroke of half-time, which would have reduced the French to 10 men and certainly given a different look to the second half of this match. But as always happens, Menez got away with it and then scored the opening goal. And as soon as France had got the lead, you never felt they were going to do anything other than win the match. Nasri's been very effective for them today in a different role, as has Ribéry, who's found a bit more freedom as well. They've played at a better tempo, France, in this match than we saw in that laboured second half against England, where they had so much ball but never looked like scoring a goal. Konoplyanka to Devic on the left hand side. Ukraine trying to finish with a flourish. Devic on the left edge of the French penalty area. Shevchenko calls for it. Devic in the end goes down. France have got the ball back with Rami and then Nasri, and Nasri can spin away through midfield and keep the possession for the French. And he's still actually got the ball. Samir Nasri is now up on the left hand side of the field with Giroud and Ribéry with him, and Martin, who's got the possession now, and then Nasri once more. And you get the impression, Jan, if they want to keep the ball for the next minute and a half, they can do quite happily.
You also get the impression that if they needed 4 goals, they'd have got those.
Here's Giroud on the left hand side, left edge of the penalty area, followed out there by Cacciarini, who stabs it out of play for a throw, right by the celebrating French supporters in the far corner of the Donbass Arena. There might not be too many of them here at Euro 2012, but they've certainly enjoyed this display today.
Maybe after all, there was a great point for England against France. If this is to the level or somewhere near the level they're going to produce at,
yep,
then that might just be a great point.
Certainly, if they can capitalise on that with a victory against Sweden, a game you're about to hear on 5 Live. We're something like 12 minutes away from kick-off in Kiev. We'll be crossing to the stadium immediately at full time in this game, which has been delayed significantly by the electrical storm. If you're just joining us and wondering why we're still playing here, we had an hour's delay while it hammered down with rain, flooded the pitch. We had lightning and thunder. The players were taken off by the referee. They were in the changing rooms for an hour. Then they had to work on the pitch, and eventually we've got the game underway. Listen to the response from the Ukraine crowd. It's not encouraging with 30 seconds of additional time to play. I think those jeers are aimed at the Ukrainian players, if I'm honest, Jan.
Yeah, they were actually aimed at the players for failing to chase down a ball. Mex has just kind of sauntered out wide position to clear the ball, and I think they just expected a little bit more effort.
Well, Shevchenko gives the ball away, and Bjorn Kuipers brings to an end a very difficult game for Ukraine. 2 goals in the second half for France from Jeremy Menez and Yohan Cabaye. Boos and jeers from the Ukrainian supporters at full time, but France, Jan, will be worthy winners.
Yeah, absolutely. There was never any doubt. The only thing missing from the first half was the French scoring a goal or 2. In the second half, they upped the tempo, very comfortable. Look, a good team. They haven't quite given me the impression yet they're ready to win it, but I think they could go a long way.